Our refrigerator already makes cubed ice. It already makes crushed ice. So when Typhur asked if I wanted to test a countertop ice maker, I wasn't really sure where it fit in. And if I'm being honest, I thought ice was just, well, ice. But after spending the last few days timing the first ice, comparing it to what my fridge produces, testing it with real drinks, and watching my family use it, I started to understand who a machine like this is actually for. I also put nugget ice, crushed ice, and cubed ice head to head to see which one melts the fastest. I had a prediction before I started the test. Turns out I was wrong. I'll show you the results later in the video. Hi everyone, I'm Meem. I test and review kitchen and home appliances to help you decide whether they're worth buying. If you enjoy honest reviews and real world testing, consider subscribing. A special thank you to Typhur for sponsoring this video and sending over their Nugget Ice Maker for testing. As always, all opinions are my own and based on my real world experience using the product. Now, let's get started. This is the Typhur Nugget Ice Maker. It produces soft, chewable nugget ice and is rated to produce up to 35 pounds of ice per day under ideal conditions. It also connects to the Typhur app, which allows you to schedule ice production, receive notifications, and monitor the machine remotely. The ice maker also includes a self-cleaning cycle. Inside the box, you'll find the ice maker itself, a plastic scoop, a metal scoop, several cleaning solution packets, and the user manual. Inside the unit, you'll find a removable ice basket where the nugget ice is collected. The machine is fairly compact and includes a carry handle on top, making it easy to move around if needed. There's also a drain plug underneath for emptying the water after cleaning or storage. Setup was straightforward. I filled the reservoir up to the maximum fill line, which holds 1.5 liters or roughly 6 cups of water, inserted the basket, connected the app, and started my first test. One thing that confused me initially was the display. The manual refers to a time indicator, but during ice making, my unit simply displayed moving dashes. Typhur confirmed this was normal operation. Now let's talk about the claim most people are probably interested in. Typhur says this machine can make ice in around 6 minutes. So naturally, that was my first test. I started a timer and waited. My first nugget ice appeared at approximately 6 minutes and 35 seconds. So based on my testing, that claim was pretty accurate. But I quickly realized that wasn't really the question I cared about. The more useful question is, how much ice do you actually have after 6 minutes? Because getting your first few pieces of ice is very different from having enough ice for drinks. After roughly 40 minutes, I had enough ice for several drinks. The nuggets stayed fairly loose, they weren't sticking together, and they were easy to scoop. After approximately 2 hours, the basket continued filling steadily, and the app reported around 1.8 pounds of total ice production. I also checked the noise level using a sound meter. Typhur rates the machine at around 50 decibels, but during my testing I measured approximately 59 decibels while it was making ice. One feature I found useful during testing was the Typhur app. I was able to schedule ice production in advance, start the machine remotely, and receive notifications when the basket was full or the water was running low. The machine also includes a self-cleaning cycle, which I'll show you later in the review. One thing I noticed during testing involved the full ice notification. During my first round of testing, I occasionally moved the ice around inside the basket. But during my second round of testing, I left everything untouched. In my case, ice had built up directly beneath the dispensing chute where the ice drops into the basket. Once I cleared that area, the machine automatically resumed making ice without needing to be restarted. The good news is that the app also sends a notification when this happens. The other thing I wanted to test was how long the water reservoir would last. Using approximately 6 cups of water, the machine continued running for almost 4 hours before the add water notification appeared. Another thing worth mentioning is that this machine is not a freezer. The basket stores the ice, but it doesn't actively keep the ice frozen. If the ice starts to melt, the melt water drains back into the machine and gets recycled to create new ice. One thing I also wanted to test was how accurate the app's ice production estimates were. During my second round of testing, I weighed the ice using a kitchen scale. The ice collected during that test weighed approximately 2.91 pounds. Unfortunately, I made a mistake and stopped the machine before checking the app's this time production figure, which resets the counter back to 0. The app's total ice mass showed 3.1 pounds produced overall, But because that figure includes previous production and I wasn't able to capture the second test before resetting the machine, I can't make a direct comparison between the app's estimate and my scale measurement. Typhur rates this machine for up to 35 pounds of ice per day under ideal conditions, with the first batch of ice ready in about 6 minutes. My first nuggets appeared in approximately 6.5 minutes, which was very close to the advertised claim. I didn't run the machine continuously for 24 hours, so I can't verify the full £35 per day claim. What I can tell you is that I was able to produce roughly 3 pounds of ice over several hours of testing from a single 1.5 litre reservoir. For me, that's actually the more useful number because it's much closer to how people will use the machine in everyday life. Speaking of everyday use, one feature I ended up appreciating more than I expected was the app. During my second round of testing, I used the scheduling feature to start the machine remotely, and I found the notifications helpful whenever the basket became full or the water level was running low. It wasn't something I thought I'd use much at first, but it was convenient being able to check on the machine without walking over to it every time. If you're planning ahead for guests or simply want ice ready for you when you need it, I can see this being quite useful. One thing I would have liked to see, however, is some type of timer displayed on the machine itself. Typhur confirmed that the moving dashes on the display are normal operation, but personally I think some simple elapsed runtime display would make the machine easier to use. For example, if I could see that it had been running for 30 or 40 minutes, I'd have a rough idea that there was probably enough ice for a few drinks. Likewise, if it had been running for several hours, I could better estimate when the reservoir might need refilling. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something I personally think would make the display more useful. Next, let's take a look at cleaning. Typhur includes 8 cleaning solution packets with the unit. To clean the machine, simply fill the reservoir to the maximum fill line, add 1 packet of cleaning solution. Since I've only used the machine a couple of times, I didn't want to waste the cleaning solution here. Once the solution is in, press the clean button, and this time the display actually shows a 7-minute countdown timer, making it easy to see how much time remains. If you open the lid during cleaning, you can actually see water circulating through the machine and flushing the ice dispensing chute. Once complete, the machine automatically returns to standby mode and sends a notification through the app. To drain the machine, I simply slid it over to the edge of my sink and removed the drain plug underneath to let the water drain out. After using the cleaning solution, I would recommend running a second cleaning cycle using fresh water only to rinse the system before making ice again. Overall, the process was simple and easy to follow. One thing I couldn't find in either the manual or the app was a recommended cleaning schedule. So how often you'll need to clean it will likely depend on how frequently you use the machine and the quality of your water. Before wrapping up, I wanted to do one final comparison. Since my refrigerator already makes both cubed and crushed ice, I was curious to see how Nugget Ice compared. So I filled 3 identical glasses using water, one with cubed ice, one with crushed ice, and one with Typhur Nugget Ice. As expected, the cubed ice lasted the longest. What surprised me was that the Nugget Ice actually melted faster than the crushed ice produced by my refrigerator. You could clearly see the water level rising more quickly in the Nugget Ice glass. Now, this will likely vary depending on the type of crushed ice your refrigerator produces, but in my testing, this was the result I observed. One thing I didn't really understand before making this video was why people get so excited about Nugget Ice. I remember talking to someone years ago who told me she loved chewing ice, and I was surprised because regular ice hurts my teeth. I just assumed all ice was basically the same. But after trying Nugget Ice for myself, I finally understood what she meant. It's much softer than the cubed ice from my fridge, and while I am still not someone who sits around chewing ice all day, I can definitely see why people specifically seek this texture out. Another benefit of Nugget Ice is that the smaller pieces surround the drink more easily, helping chill it quickly. So while it didn't win my melting test, I can see why people enjoy both the softer texture and the way it cools drinks. So who is this machine actually for? After spending several days with it, I don't think it's for everyone. If your refrigerator already makes plenty of ice and you're perfectly happy with it, you may not need a separate countertop ice maker. But I can absolutely see the appeal for people who don't have a built-in ice maker, regularly buy bags of ice for gatherings, entertain often, or simply enjoy nugget ice. I can also see it being useful for RVs, dorm rooms, vacation properties, cabins, or anywhere a traditional refrigerator ice maker isn't available. For me, the biggest surprise wasn't that it made ice in around 6 minutes. It was that I started to understand why people specifically seek out nugget ice. I went into this review wondering who would actually need a countertop ice maker, and after testing it, I think I finally have my answer. If you're interested in checking out the Typhur Nugget Ice Maker, I'll leave a link in the description below. Typhur is currently running a limited time Prime Day promotion, and you can use my code shown on the screen for additional savings before the deal ends. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.